I'm Rachel.
And I'm Henry.
And today we're going to take a look at some questions, see what we know about it, and then bring in the expert. Okay. Can you explain what Agenda 21 is?
Uh-oh.
Short answer?
No.
No idea.
Mm-mm.
No idea.
Agenda 21. I'm assuming it's an agenda from some kind of government branch. But other than that...
I don't even know what is different about an agenda versus, like, legislation.
Okay. The first thing that comes into my mind when I hear agenda is like the driving force and idea behind multiple decisions being made. So like,
right.
Could an agenda be like a mission statement almost of like, hey, we're wanting to make healthcare free, but in order to do that, we have to do these steps.
Right.
And like, that's what the agenda is.
Right, but it must not be coming from the legislative bodies.
Right.
Like, is it from like the FBI or like some sort of state operative? Or technically those are part of the executive branch. So maybe it's kind of like almost like an executive version of a law.
Maybe it's like the agenda is like the president saying, hey, y'all should make a law down there in the House or something. Like, like it comes from the legislative branch. Or like the president is like, hey, you guys, why don't you start working on this thing? And like, that's his agenda.
Yeah.
Like his idea of what should happen. Something like that. We're kind of lost here. We need to bring in an expert.
Yeah, let's bring in our expert. Hi, Barbie.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about what is Agenda 21
Agenda
here.
21. Well, I really like what Henry was getting out there of what an agenda is. It's true, that is the use of the word agenda. So presidents and even people who are running for office may say, this is my agenda, and this is what I want to get done. And then it may have some steps to it as well. That's the word agenda is an appropriate use of that word. Mm-hmm. But we're talking specifically about Agenda 21. Mm-hmm. And so this Agenda 21 is actually from the UN.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. So it has another name. It's also called Agenda 2030. Have you ever heard of that one?
Oh.
No.
Okay.
I have heard of this.
Okay. So here's some other words that go with Agenda 21. There are words like smart city or sustainable.
Okay.
Sustainable housing, sustainable farming, sustainable...
Oh, is it called 2030 because it's like the net zero carbon thing by 2030?
That's part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is that like dystopian future bill or like the whole mission statement that they have where it's like everybody's going to be eating bugs and everything you do is going to be monitored and stuff. Oh boy.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the way that the United States government has been talking about Agenda 21 is to call it the Green New Deal. And it's exactly the same thing.
Right.
Okay. So it came from the UN. And the reason it's Agenda 2030 is because they want all these things to happen by 2030.
That's a big problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So,
when was this kind of like set in motion?
Okay. So
if we're aiming for a specific date.
Right. So basically, through the years, like through history, war has been a very profitable event for the rich and people who make weapons and supply uniforms and build planes and bombs and everything. Okay, war has been very profitable. Mm-hmm. And after World War I, the world was kind of like in shock and was like, we don't want war like this anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So after World War I, they formed this group of nations, and they said, if we all talk our problems out, we won't have war anymore. But the people who profited from war were like, that's not good, right? And so they got themselves into that group of people. And there were actually more wars after that group formed, and World War II came out of that as well. And so after World War II, the whole world said, we can't do this anymore. This is horrible. And so they made basically the United Nations. And they said, if we all get together and we talk about our issues and our problems, we can prevent war. Mm. But something different happened in World War II than had happened in all the other wars. And that was that there was nuclear war. And these people who were prospering from war all these years, they suddenly went, if we have war like this over and over, we're going to die too. And so they decided we need another thing that can be super profitable for us. And so they decided on environmentalism.
Wow.
They decided that we're going to have this radical agenda of environmentalism and it will profit us. Mm. And they worked their way into the UN to make that happen. And that's what Agenda 21 is. It's all the things that the super rich want to have happen so that they are the ones that profit.
And that sounds like wild, like a conspiracy theory, but when you think about it, like the person who owns the vast majority of farmland in America is Bill Gates. Like super rich are already acquiring vast amounts of these things so that they can do whatever they want with them and enforce what you're talking about. That only profits them.
Right, but there's even more to that, because that is a part of Agenda 21. So it's a very radical environmentalism that, so some people involved in Agenda 21, they actually believe in all these really extreme environmentalist things. But some of them are just pushing it because it will profit themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay, so one of the things that both of them believes, Agenda 21 believes, is that humans are out of balance with nature and the land. There's too many humans.
Overpopulation.
Yes, there's too many humans, and there's not enough freedom for all the animals and the plants. Okay, so that's one of the things that Agenda 21 is. And so they have a plan for what to do about that. And what they want is they want humans to live in small, high-rise cities so that the animals and the plant life can be free. And they call it corridors.
Oh.
And so Agenda 21 is very lengthy, but this is one of the things. So for instance, when big developers are coming to our area, where we live in Idaho, they are buying up the farmland, because that's part of it. We can't be eating all the food. Mm-hmm. That's what the Agenda 21, when they say it's sustainable, what they mean is you have to do with less so that future animals and people have enough. You have to do with less space, and you have to do with less of the things you want, less freedom, basically.
Wow.
And some people are embracing it because it's environmental, but other people are embracing it because it will profit them greatly.
Wow.
Seems like you're doing a lot of summarizing of a really big idea.
I am.
Do you have, like, what resources can somebody look up if they want to learn more about this and dive deeper into it?
Yeah, I knew little bits and pieces of this before, but I recently saw a video that's really great that goes through it in slow motion, and it really helped me to embrace the big picture and the big idea, because every part of Agenda 21 sounds really good. For instance, when they're building these high rises in cities and things like that, they're calling it like affordable housing. Okay, and so you feel like, well, I want everyone to have affordable housing, but what they're really doing is they're trying to make people move from the outskirts into the cities. And so at the same time, they're buying up properties on the outskirts, or if people don't want to sell their properties, they are finding ways to fine them or to destroy their property with fire, and then pass some kind of regulation where they can't rebuild, or put some regulations on them where they can't farm or they can't have those animals on that land. And so slowly by slowly, they want to force everyone to live in what they are calling a smart city.
Yeah, and that SMART's an acronym, right?
Right. It is an acronym. It stands for surveillance, monitoring,
and reporting technology.
And reporting technology. Yeah.
Wow.
That sounds dystopian.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we're all going to live in small houses with small individual meals, going to our small jobs, living our small lives, and being completely monitored in a smart city while we do it.
Yeah, and the monitoring is so that they know exactly what you're doing and what you're saying, and also so that they don't allow you to leave.
So that kind of thing's already happening in China, though. Like we know that that the government like literally locked these huge high-rise of these like tiny apartments.
Right.
They just like, you're infested, and locked people inside.
Right. They even did that in California in some places during like the very beginning stages of COVID. They just locked down entire high-rises and said, you've got somebody in here, you can't leave for the next 5 days. Entertain yourselves.
Right.
Like,
and if anybody tried to get out in China, like their city surveillance, basically, like the cops were there to say, no, you can't be out, go back inside.
So another part of that is that to keep all the humans into small cities so that nature and plants are free to roam in all these places, is that the technology is to have AI basically watching over you, so that for instance, if you go outside of the city, it's not that police are going to come and stop you, it's that they are going to prevent you from using your money.
Right.
So you can't buy gas. You can't buy any food if you go outside of your zone. And these things are all well known in Agenda 21, so like it does sound like a conspiracy theory, but
here in Idaho, where we drive through our fields, to get to our grocery store, that sounds like a very far off reality.
A while back, I mean, they still are. They're designing neighborhoods and stuff where there's the stores on the lower levels and apartments going all the way up, and office buildings and then apartments and big, and they want to have it. They are calling them like contained neighborhoods and stuff like that. And it sounds like a really great thing that all you need is right here below your apartment. The stores are there, a few restaurants, and you don't have to actually drive anywhere. It sounds all the parts sound really nice. We want to set aside this land so that the bears can pass through and have this corridor to get to another part.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm so glad that the bears can live such a happy, carefree life. That's definitely
So it sounds really good, all of the parts. So for instance, our city council just approved to install 7 license plate cameras in Coeur d'Alene, right? And they say it's to be safe. It's so that we can track down criminals. And so somebody even asked, I saw a paper, an article in the paper, and somebody asked the mayor, but isn't this like a breach of privacy, And people are saying, but your license plate, it can be seen by anyone. It's public information. However,
it doesn't mean that it should go into a database where they tracked where you went. That's surveillance.
Right. It's entering into a database, and so somebody said, can't that database be abused? And the mayor literally said, we aren't going to abuse it. Just trust us.
Historically, every time that's used by a politician, it ends really, really poorly for the citizens.
Yeah, and so it's not that a person is going to sit there and watch all the the license plates. It's not that a person is going to do that. It's that an AI is going to do that. A technology is going to be watching where you are going.
definitely that can be abused.
And putting it into a database.
Like, imagine if you have a group of people, like something happened, like at that Pride event a little while ago, where there were people there that they didn't like, that were protesting there. Mm-hmm. Who's to say that you could have been attending that and they decide, oh, your car arrived at the wrong time and now you are suspect because of other people that did this thing at this event? Like, what's to say that they can't abuse that? Or if you park someplace and you open your trunk, now everybody knows what you have inside, or the AI or whatever, they have footage of what's inside your car. What were you carrying? What were you wearing? Like,
yes.
Mm-hmm. And what level of security does the mayor's office or the city council's office have on their database? Like,
yeah, but see, the database
in a small city, like they probably have
the database goes into
passwords.
It goes into a national database.
Oh, great!
Because
awesome.
One of the things that they were saying to approve of it, for instance, is there were recently some murders right here in Idaho.
Yes,
and they found the murderer. I don't know where, but somewhere across the country.
Pennsylvania.
Maybe in Pennsylvania, in a city that had license plate cameras. And so they are saying, see how safe we will be? They always sell it as safe and sustainable. And it always sounds good. And that's what Agenda 21 is, Agenda 2030. Each little piece of it sounds good. So I think we'll have, below this video, we'll have access to another video that can really show the big picture and explain it a lot more.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you for sharing this with us. Mm-hmm. I did not know what that was, and it sounds like something to pay a lot more attention to, and how the pieces of it are being implemented even in small towns in the U.S.
It's a lot more sinister than I think we were thinking.
Yeah. Wow. Let us know if you learned anything today, if you already knew about Agenda 21 or Agenda 2030.
Yes.
Or if you knew it as the Green New Deal. Let us know what you know about it that maybe we missed, or any resources that you have to explore that further, and let us know what you learned today.